So the Chiefs went into this draft with a ton of picks, and they used them on players that they filled for need, not just best player available, because this is a roster with needs. Trent McDuffie, cornerback out of Washington. Tavarius Ward is gone. Be curious to see where he fits into that secondary. Then you go to the pass rush. George Karlaftis out of Purdue, extremely powerful pass rusher, violent hands. Melvin Ingram has departed, of course. You're going to need a way to get after the quarterback opposite Frank Clark.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I honestly believe this. If the Chiefs rookies play like your average NFL rookies, I think their streak of winning 7 straight division titles ends. As great as their offense is going to be, and those 2 names that you brought up, Karlaftis and McDuffie, are the big names to me. I think about it like this, and you guys have heard me talk about this, and Mina, I want to get your opinion on this. So everybody in their division, meaning the Raiders, the Chargers, and the Broncos, those 3 teams have 2 elite edge rushers, right? The Chiefs, we can make the claim, don't have 1 elite edge rusher because Ingram has moved on. Karlaftis has got to be, while he was awesome at Purdue, he got to be like TJ Watt almost. He's got to have that kind of impact. And then McDuffie, because their number 1 corner, Ward, went to San Francisco, McDuffie's got to be a plug-and-play corner. But my question to you, Mina, is, in my opinion, and I think you share it, is he's better inside. Ward was an outside guy. Yeah. So is Ward good enough to go play outside in big-time football for the Chiefs on a defense that likes to play man coverage? That's my concern.
Yeah, it's a really good question with Trent McDuffie because he does have shorter arms. He's a little bit shorter in stature. I think a lot of teams probably did look at him as a slot corner, but the Chiefs went into this draft with glaring needs on defense, right? Which is kind of unusual for a team that is a contender. I think we all contenders. Usually they're drafting for depth, but this is a team that had major holes in the defense, one of which was outside corner with the departure of Ward, and the other pass rush. You know, if you remember, the first half of last season, the Chiefs had one of the worst pass defenses in the NFL, and that was in large part due to the lack of a pass rush. You had Chris Jones playing out of position at edge, and suddenly, about mid-season, they trade for Melvin Ingram, who, you know, is not one of the best pass rushers in the league, but it has a trickle effect on the rest of the defense. Chris Jones moves back inside. Suddenly, they don't have to quite blitz quite as much, and they go from 22nd to 7th in pressure. So now Ingram's gone, and you have Karlaftis coming in. And Dan, he's not like a true sack artist, but he is extremely powerful and disruptive. And I think in this particular defense, if he can condense the pocket, force quarterbacks to step up into Chris Jones, and also free up blitzers, as we know Steve Spagnuolo wants to do, I think he can be impactful from day one. That's a lot of pressure on a rookie.
It's kind of refreshing to talk about the Chiefs' defense for once. We always talk about the offense. So let's talk about the offense. Why not? Because they did, of course, take Sky Moore out of Western Michigan, 54th overall. That was late in the 2nd round. He joins a new-look wide receiver group that also includes Juju Smith-Schuster on a 1-year deal, Marquez Valdez-Scantling on a 3-year, $30 million deal. Of course, there is no more Tyreek Hill. He now plays for the Dolphins.
That we're looking at here. I mean, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, excuse me, and Juju Smith-Schuster are 2 guys that obviously are these big dudes who can kind of do things that Tyreek Hill necessarily couldn't. Not to take away from him, but he will be able to spread it around more. As it pertains to Sky Moore, I can tell you, I was in Kansas City for the draft, and they loved what they did on defense early on, and it allowed them the luxury of, in the middle of the 2nd round, going after Sky Moore, and that's something that absolutely lit up that building. There was an electricity in that building after they made that move. They felt like they're not trying to necessarily replace Tyreek Hill, but they felt like they absolutely added the firepower to an offense that could use a little bit more.
Yeah, Jeff, I think the 2 things that Sky Moore needs to, at least his piece, bring to this offense wide receiver-wise is, number 1, ball skills. Really good ball skills when it's in the air. And then number 2, a feel in zone. You know, if you had to ask me what he would bring in like different than the guys that they have, MVS is going to be the vertical speed guy. Go make some big plays. And then Juju's going to be your big physical pass-catching guy, kind of working right where the hashes are. And Kelsey's going to be Kelsey. Sky Moore's got to be that guy that's going to be able to track the football, has the ability to kind of just gauge the speed of where he needs to turn it off, turn it on, and just have a really good feel for tracking the ball, but then have great kind of understanding of color in the zones. Another name, you guys saw the clip from the Clemson receiver, number 8. I call college football games. Justin Ross. The only reason Justin Ross fell into this draft is because of health. God willing that his neck is healthy and his back is healthy and he's a healthy player. He's a guy that could be a difference maker, even more so than Sky Moore, because his talent is it's a first-round talent off the chart. So I think that these two rookies are going to have to play well, but they're their fourth or fifth options in Kansas City, so they're not going to be asked to do a ton.
Yeah, it's such a good point about Justin Ross, because before he got hurt, he was absolutely a first-round talent. And if he's able to be healthy and I think return to that potential, this could look like one of the biggest steals of the draft for Kansas City. No pressure to get him on the field immediately. Sky Moore, I think he was such an interesting pick, because as we looked at this team and thought, okay, how are they going to replace Tyreek Hill, or how is this offense going to evolve? They go out, they get speed in free agency. Obviously, you still got Hardman, and you might use him more vertically. And then they grab a receiver who I think gives them an answer they didn't have last season against those two high looks, which is a shifty, strong slot receiver who can work underneath alongside Juju Smith-Schuster. I don't think this offense is going to necessarily be better, but I think they have more answers because of the versatility at the wide receiver position than they did last season.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.